What's going on, guys? So, before we get into today's episode, I want to give props to a program that is responsible for helping over 6,000 students level up their careers. That is Level Careers. Level Careers offers three course options that are all self paced and affordable. They have a tech sales closure course, which is what you want to hop into if you want to go the account executive role. I myself have taken that course. I've graduated from that course, and I still refer to it today to help me in my account executive role. They also have a cybersecurity course that is jam packed with hands on labs, giving you everything you need to hop into a SOC analyst role or information security role. I am currently taking that class right now. I am 50% through the course. I tell you, it is highly recommended. They also have a sales engineering course. For those of you that want to go out there and you want to put your foot in the door as a sales engineer, they have a course for you. All these courses are affordable, and I'm going to help you make it even more affordable by sharing with you my code to give you 10% off of any course you choose. Use Tech Job 10 for any course that you choose. I'll put a link to the program in the description and in the comments. Go get your tech job. Peace. What's going on, y'all? It's your girl Tech Job Tina signing in. It is Saturday night. I am kicking it at the crib, watching YouTube, Netflix. I'm just chilling, right? Why? Because I'm an introvert and I like to be in my house and out the way. All right. So I wanted to kind of share with you an interesting video that I watched recently. And it kind of touches on how industry wide, and I'm specifically talking about the tech industry, how they're really starting to come down off of all the requirements, having to have the college requirements. And I think that's just because one, there's so many areas in tech where they have shortages. And two, college is just not as popular as it used to be with the emergence of all these tech boot camps and certs and everything you can do to kind of break in. I think it's really changing the game as far as like those hurdles that are out there blocking us from getting in. Now, don't get me wrong, you still got those traditional companies out there that are always going to be like, oh, you got to have this degree and this, that, the third. But I think today, in comparison to what it used to be, I think now a lot of that stuff is they're loosening up those requirements. So it's really awesome for those of us that maybe we don't have those degrees and those things that they used to require, and then they're loosening those requirements is really opening, the gates so that a lot more people have access and the ability to, jump into these fields, whereas before they may not have had the opportunity to do so. So what I want to touch on specifically is a video that I was watching. Forbes did an interview recently with the newly appointed National Director of Cybersecurity. He was just appointed by the Senate back in December as the second National Security Director at the White House. And that statement within itself says a lot, and it kind of speaks to how new we still are with this whole cyber thing. The fact that we only have the second national director right now. But the gentleman's name is Harry Coker Jr. He has got a stellar resume. I'm talking about somebody, this dude was ex-CIA, went to the Naval Academy. I think he's even got a law degree. I mean, the guy's background is like extraordinary, right? So one of the things he does in this interview, he bunks a lot of things that people think is required for you to get into cybersecurity. And from the horse's mouth, like he's telling you, no, this is not required. This is what we're looking at right now. So I'm like, it don't get any clearer than this. When the national director of cybersecurity tells you what the deal is as far as what the requirements are going to be to get into cyber, then you listen, because word is bond. It's coming from him, right? So I thought the interview was kind of interesting. So I'm just going to kind of break into that part of the interview. I will link the video if you want to watch it in its entirety. I'll put it in the description and in the comments. It was a very good interview. The whole thing's about 25 minutes long, but I want to get into the part where he's starting to debunk those rumors about what's required to get into cybersecurity. So let's get into it.
Here again with the National Cyber Director, Harry Coker, and at the ITI Tech and Policy Summit event, the Intersect. Take me back to when you were growing up, right? After the military, did you always know that cyber would be the direction? And I want to piggyback off of that because there's a lot of misnomers about even getting into the cyber space. And I know we want to talk about the workforce in a little bit because that's a very interesting stat. But did you always know you wanted to do this?
No, I did not. Growing up, my father was in the Navy as well. So we grew up at submarine bases across the country. And I was always decent at math. And I was kind of funneled into a math, science, academic programs.
Okay.
But back then, it wasn't called, well, frankly, we didn't have computers back then when I was growing up. I think it was slide rules. Then we got to calculators. But it's been called different things. But by the time I went to the Naval Academy, there was information assurance, which is essentially the same thing, different name.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that that's what I wanted to do, but I like hard problems. And I could see that the world was going digital. And I was able to go to graduate school and earn a master's in computer science. And that was further illumination to me of the importance of what we called computer sec or information assurance and now cybersecurity. And it's fascinating. It's a digital world.
Yeah.
And we're all involved in it. And the other point, you ask how I got into it. So I didn't always realize it. But also back then, there was a misnomer in that you needed to be a technologist to get into cybersecurity. That's inaccurate. We need creative thinkers. We need persistent folks. We need people who care. And then you can make contributions.
So you don't have to be good at math then, because I'm not good at math.
Yeah.
Words and English, I love that, but not as good as math. If somebody's not good at math, they can still enter the field.
Yeah, but you've already sold yourself short a couple of times. You probably are good at math, but you do not have to be a mathematician. STEM is great, but there are plenty of people making contributions in cybersecurity that don't have a STEM background.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that, right? Because we were talking about misnomers, 500,000 jobs and maybe more by the end of this year that are available in the department. Right?
Yep.
I called my aunt because I knew she's looking for a career change. And I said, hey, did you know that's cyber? And she was fascinated by the information. But I heard you say that you went to a Baltimore community college to kind of preach this. On that hearing, you also mentioned it to the congresswoman, and you said whatever we were doing is not working. How do you get more people, and because it's Black History Month, specifically Black people, to get into the space? Because again, I don't think they even know that position is open. Over 500,000 jobs are open for you to apply, get training, right? Learn, and then take that skill set and go off. And it doesn't look like the investment in the cyber world is going anywhere.
A point that has to be addressed with regards to the Black community and any underserved community. I'll just give you a personal example on how we reach those communities. I am a mentor at a middle school in Baltimore every Tuesday evening, or when my knee is okay. And I expose those children to the impact that they can make. And I also let them know you don't have to be the best math student in your class to do it. But it really is exposure to the opportunities to make a good living, but also to make a contribution to society. And oftentimes we overlook children's desire to make an impact. They care about things, need to find the right things, and then position them to be able to make a contribution. So I give you that anecdote, but it's making folks aware of the challenges and the opportunities and the contributions that they can make. We typically haven't taken enough risk on people. One of the points we talked about was having college degree requirements for some of the cybersecurity jobs.
You don't need it.
Bingo. There you go again. You don't need them. And folks need to know that. It's the learning and the opportunity to develop. And that's where we come in. We can find people, and we need to do a better job of finding people, but let's develop them.
Yeah. As you said on that hearing, diversity is all about achieve.
All right. So I'm gonna pause it right there. He said a few things. First, he said you don't have to be a math whiz to break into cyber. So he debunked that rumor, right? And another thing he touched on as well, man, exposure. Exposure is big. I mean, exposure to me, that's like the cheat code. There's so much opportunity out here. And we have a whole sector of people that are totally unaware of what's out there and available for them to jump into. So I think exposure is really the answer to curing a lot of problems we have, like in the Black and brown communities. I'm talking about the poorest of our communities, man. I love what he said about going into these communities and exposing the young people to the industry. You don't know what you don't know, right? So I can definitely feel that, because I can think of several times in my life where I was not exposed to certain things, right? But the moment I became aware of what was out there, it was like mind shift, right? So that's dope. And then the biggest misnomer that he touched on was having to have a degree to step off into cyber. And the man said it himself, you don't have to do it, right? You just need to be able to develop the skills necessary to hop into the industry. And they just said, well, there's 500,000 jobs out there in the cybersecurity sector that they need people for. That number is just going to grow, man, because all of us are seeing all over the news. Every time you turn around, there's a cyber attack here and a cyber attack there. And those are only the cyber attacks that we know about. Imagine all the cyber attacks that they are not letting out into the media. There's a whole lot more going on than you and I are aware of, right? So the need for people in the industry is only going to grow. So the man said it himself, you don't have to have a college degree. All right. So I'll let a little bit more of it play and then we'll wrap it up.
To it is all about achieving positive mission, outcomes. And I guess filling that 500,000 jobs, making sure that it's diverse is a positive outcome.
Yeah. There are talent pools that we have not looked at. I'm a country boy. I got lucky when a Naval Academy recruiter came to my small rural Kansas town. There are urban communities across this country that probably don't have people coming in talking about cybersecurity education. That's one of the other great things about this office. We have a national cyber workforce and education strategy that talks exactly to the point that you brought up. Getting to places that we haven't gone to before, taking risks on people, putting in the time to develop them, and turning them loose. I just don't encounter many people, old, young, or in the middle, who don't aspire to make a contribution.
Absolutely.
And to better themselves and their family. And cybersecurity is a heck of a place to jump in.
Yeah. So,
All right, so I'm gonna stop that right there. This is an amazing interview. Like I said, I'll put a link to it in the description and in the comments. But I mean, it don't get no better than that, man. The national director of cybersecurity himself was like, look, you ain't gotta have a degree. We just gotta be able to start developing those skills so we can get more people into this industry, right? No degree required. You ain't gotta be a math whiz to get in on these opportunities. So I love that. So I talked to you guys a lot about the importance of skill stacking. I've even shared with you myself that I am also learning cybersecurity as well. I'm taking the level cybersecurity course right now. I'm more than 50% through it. I believe that in this day and age, you need more than one high-paying skill, because you never know when you might have to deploy that other skill to keep your money rolling in. So I wanted to share that with you guys. I really enjoyed the interview, and I hope you guys check it out in its entirety. And if you found this helpful, just put a comment down and I'd love to read it from you. And other than that, man, if you want to get into cybersecurity, check out Level Careers. I put a link to it as well in the description in the comments. And you can use my discount code, which is TechJob10. That'll be listed down there as well. So that's all I got, man. I'm going to holler at you guys later. TechJob10 is signing out. Peace.